Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
All I gotta say is, who that? What's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Really do appreciate your time. Hope everybody is having a good day so far. Hope everybody had a really good weekend. And before we get started, as people file into the room, I haven't done some podcast episodes. I haven't done them in a few days. To be honest with you, for those that probably checked out the last episode that I did when I interviewed Jono Barnes, shouts out to Jono. My son was sick. Paxton was a little bit under the weather. He kind of, made his little cameo towards the end of the episode, but he's been battling like with a little sinus issue, allergies. Y'all know how it is, man. All this pollen in the air and stuff like that. So I was on my fatherly duties, man, for the last couple of days. So I do apologize. Well, no, I don't apologize because I'm a father first, but that's the reason why we didn't have any, episodes. I put out like a little brief clip about Cooper Kupp, but all in all, that's what I've really been up to. He's doing a lot better, and now we're back at it. All right. I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to cover here on the State of the Saints podcast, as well as read some of your comments and questions here on the show. On today, we're going to talk about a popular topic that has made its rounds, and it involves wide receiver Tetairoa McMillan. Tetairoa McMillan is supposedly the number one wide receiver that will be taken in this year's draft. As we know that some of these reports that pertain to McMillan says that he ran a 4.4 at his pro day. There was a lot of concern about what he would run in a 40. That's the reason why some people felt he was reluctant to do so at the combine and other events. But we see that, he's running a 4.4, so that pretty much checks all the boxes. We know what type of player that he is, the 6'5", 215-pound wide receiver. We know that he has a bunch of talent, and a lot of teams that are going to be picking in the top 10 would need a wide receiver like Tetairoa. Now, everybody knows how I feel about this guy. Everybody knows that I feel like the Saints are missing someone that resembles McMillan's skill set, his ability, his height. Feel like that's something that the Saints have been missing for quite some time. And we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. But I do want to acknowledge some of the people that are in the chat right now as they start to file in. Shouts out to T Dirty. Jerry is here. Shouts out to Bronze. Thank you for being here. Shouts out to Q. What's going on, man? B Creole is here. And so many others, man. We got a jam-packed week, man. I guess I can go ahead and let you all know this week we will have on tomorrow morning. Make sure that you check it out. We'll have Mike Detillier on the show. Always a pleasure to talk to Mike Detillier. And on Thursday, man, we'll have double shows. That's right. We'll have a double show. We have, and we'll be talking with Big Q as well as, no, excuse me. We're going to have a double show on Wednesday. We're going to talk to Mike Detillier in the morning. We're going to talk to Trace. As y'all know, Chat Nation, he will be on the show that evening. And then on Thursday, we will be chopping it up with Big Q. That's going to be at 8:30 Eastern. So jam-packed show, man. Jam-packed show this week. A lot of guests, a lot of perspectives. So make sure that you keep it locked right here to the State of the Saints podcast. But Tetairoa McMillan, I have so much respect for this guy. He's such a talented, wide receiver. Last season, he had 84 receptions for 1,319 yards, 8 touchdowns, 15.7 yard average. And like I mentioned, man, I mean, this guy just continues to get better and better. And his skill set, his ability, kind of reminds me that of Michael Thomas. He's a little bit faster than Michael Thomas, but I just feel like, his strength, his ability, and his confidence, it just kind of resembles that. And then even kind of the way that he speaks kind of reminds me of Michael Thomas. But I just think that this would be a really good combination to put these, 3 guys together. I'm talking McMillan, Shaheed, and Olave. Shaheed and Olave are really 2 talented wide receivers. Like they're really, really talented. And I do feel like they have that athleticism, the ability to route running, to get away from people. But it's just something when it comes to like catching the ball, getting those yards after the catch. Shaheed, he's more of the take the top off the defense. He gets behind the defenders, and he's going to hit his head on the goalpost. When it comes to Chris Olave, yeah, he can get open. You give him the ball, but I'm just worried about those yards after the catch. I just think that he reminds me of a much more polished Brandon Cooks. And nothing was wrong with Brandon Cooks, as we all know. I mean, we all have a lot of respect for Brandon Cooks and what he did in the Saints uniform, but it's just something about those big body wide receivers. Those guys demand a double team. They come through with strength. And when you're going up against some of those smaller cornerbacks, they can win those matchups. And some of those cornerbacks are going to need some help. That's going to cause the coverage to roll towards a wide receiver like McMillan. And that will cause for Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed to win their one-on-one matchups. And I just think that the Saints offense would be a little bit more dangerous in that regard. And I think that not only myself feels that way, but also Cam Jordan. Cam Jordan expressed his feelings and his views about, McMillan. He talked about how he feels about Tetairoa McMillan. I'm actually in the process right now. I want to pull that up because I want to make sure that I read the tweet that he put out. But he was referring to Tetairoa McMillan, and this is what he said. He said, "I'd like to sit in on the Saints draft meeting, please, because Olave, Shaheed, and a young gun like this man," he meant McMillan, Jawan Foster, and AK. So he's saying adding McMillan to the room will make this offense even more dangerous. And I definitely agree with Cam in that regard. Cam, he doesn't really, speak out that much about certain things. But, for him to speak out for McMillan, that speaks volume. Now, I could think and believe, if Cam is watching this right now, that it has something to do with the fact that he played at Arizona. I'm talking McMillan, and he's from Arizona, but we're not gonna say that, right? We're not gonna put that out there. But I think it has something to do with it, right, Cam? But anyway, but I echo the sentiments of Cam. I do feel like the way that the Saints have structured this team over the last couple of weeks, definitely a wide receiver could help. But when you look at the draft board, man, you look at some of these teams that need wide receiver help. I don't know if McMillan is going to last to number 9. I mean, you think about the New England Patriots. I mean, everybody expect for New England to maybe draft Travis Hunter, but somebody that has that type of skill set, that type of ability, you align that with Drake May. Drake May now has his number 1 guy. The Raiders, they got Geno Smith, but they still don't have that number 1 guy that Geno Smith can throw the ball to. I mean, who you have? You got your not, a definitive number 1. So there are a few teams that I see that could possibly end up snatching McMillan away. To me, I think that the New Orleans Saints will probably have to make a phone call to try to move up a couple spots in order for them to comfortably acquire McMillan. But even if they don't, there's a lot of talented wide receivers in this draft that can go alongside Shaheed and Olave. But McMillan, I definitely feel like, he will be the guy that'll give you that instant success. A couple of guys, there'll be some day one starters and they'll give you some success. But I think that this guy, without a shadow of a doubt, will give you everything that you want from day one. So going to be tough if the Saints are thinking about acquiring McMillan, but if they get their hands on him, I guarantee it's going to be a very dangerous offense in New Orleans. I mean, you already got some very talented guys. I expect for them to add some offensive weaponry through the draft and maybe through free agency as time goes on. But, they definitely are trying to build this team and trying to make it more effective offensively. And when they do that, I think that the Saints will be on the right track. It just seems to me that Mickey Loomis is feeling as if this team, there's not too much wrong with it. Right character of guys, the right talent of guys, but it's just the fact that they got some injuries that they had to deal with last year. They feel like they addressed that by bringing in a new strength and conditioning coach. Now, some people may not want to hear that, but I feel like that is a step in the right direction. Addressing that, making sure that you pay attention to the analytics and not let anything fall through the cracks. Like you just can't just run guys into the ground. These guys are wired differently. Like as long as you tell them to run, as long as you tell them to push, they're going to push. And we know that professional athletes, you gotta kind of save them from themselves because they only know one way, and that is full throttle. So hopefully this new strength and conditioning coach that they brought in, along with Kellen Moore, more of a young coach that kind of put emphasis on some of the things that the NFL has implemented when it comes to, taking care of your bodies and looking at the analytics and technology. Some of these older coaches, in my opinion, probably don't put that much emphasis on it. They pay attention to it, of course, but I just think that when you're a little bit old school, you have those old school philosophies, and sometimes it's kind of hard for you to shake that. But hopefully the New Orleans Saints can get back to winning some games consistently and also keeping these guys upright and healthy and make sure that they protect them from themselves. But as far as McMillan goes, I just think that it might be a little tough for the Saints to acquire him, especially when you have some teams out there that need wide receiver help before the Saints even pick. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments. I really do appreciate it. Jerry says, Mike Detillier, Trizzy Trace, and Big Q, let's go. Yeah, man, I mean, that's the lineup for this week, man. All three confirmed. Like I said, tomorrow morning, Mike Detillier will be on the show. And also Trace in the evening, and also Saints Talk with Timothy J. Jones. So I'm gonna be talking quite a bit on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we'll have Big Q. And then next week, I'm gonna set something up, man. I got my good buddy. She covers the Dallas Cowboys, but I feel like it would be great to have her on the show. Aisha Morrison. Of course, like we'll be talking about Kellen Moore. Of course, we know that Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys throughout the years. So that's going to be more of gumbo pot, slash, state of the Saints. But man, Aisha, man, that's my buddy, man. She's very, very knowledgeable of the game. And, we're just going to set up a time where we can actually get her on the show that works out for her. But we're definitely going to be having some more guests, man. I got some other things lined up. Just got to make sure I get those confirmed before I go out here and say it. But I'm in the works on working with a few people in order for me to get some more guests on the show. So that's where we're going, man. So hopefully you all keep it locked right here to the State of the Saints podcast for your listening pleasure. Hemisphere says, who that TJ? Just seen Mel Kiper mock Mississippi State quarterback 9. I guess you mean Jackson Dart 9 to the Saints. All right. I kind of butchered that, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, I honestly don't know if he's going to go that high. To me, I feel like if he does go that high, it's just a hype train. This is one of those situations where, a guy makes a good throw at the combine, or, people start looking at some tape and then all of a sudden they're trying to get him into the room. I don't know if Jackson Dart is a first-round draft pick or not. I look at him as more of a second-round pick. Shots out to Deuce. I was looking at Deuce tweet the other day. He said that he looked at some footage and look, man, Deuce Winham is one of the most knowledgeable guys when it comes to looking at the film. And he had questions about his footwork. And, you know, when you start talking about quarterbacks and their footwork, I mean, that's some things that they have to work on. I look at Jackson Dart. He definitely has a pro-ready arm. But some of the things that keep you in the league, that keeps you a starter, you got to be able to work on if you're Jackson Dart. So I look at him as more of a second round pick. You know, it's almost to me like this is getting like the EJ Manuel treatment. For those that don't know who EJ Manuel is, he was a quarterback at Florida State. Pretty talented guy, but people kind of pushed him into being drafted in the first round. He got drafted by the Buffalo Bills, and it was a disaster. And I feel like when it comes to Jackson Dart, people want to put emphasis on a quarterback, and just having two guys that some teams feel like are just worth that first ranks when it comes to media likes it that way. So they try to talk themselves into bringing another guy into the room. But I don't know if Jackson Dart is a first round talent just yet. I think that he has the ability to be a starter in the league if he works with the right guys, if he aligns himself with the right coach. I think that he will be a starter, and I think he will be effective. But he got some things that he has to work on. So I'm not mad at Mel Kiper. I mean, he's been doing it a long time. Who am I to question Mel Kiper? I mean, he's one of the reasons why people even do mock drafts and all this other stuff. I mean, he's the godfather of that. Got to give him credit. But I don't know, man. I just feel like this is one of those situations where you're just kind of talking someone into the room. Like, you're trying to convince others that this person should be there. I don't know if Jackson Dart should be there or not. Only time will tell. Brian says, that's still never made sense how Carolina picked before us and we finished last. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. I honestly never got an answer to that. I mean, maybe it's something that we're missing. Maybe somebody can explain that to me. But if you last in the division, like, how in the world does another team pick before you? I don't understand. Whether it was they lost a coin toss or something like that, I don't know. Let's see. Great lineup, TJ. This is going to be fun. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a fun lineup, man. It's always great to talk to like people that love the game of football, passionate about it. And man, I told you, Mike Tetairoa, one of my favorite people to talk to. Like, he just loves football, man, and he's a great storyteller, great human being, man. I feel like some of the best conversations happen off camera, like when we talk behind the scenes. I got so much respect for Mike, and just appreciate him stopping by and giving us a little bit of his perspective about where the team is going and what he's seen so far. I'm stroll down a little bit because it's mostly like just pleasantries between you all. It says Hemisphere says the Saints wide receiver room is the weakest room on the team. McMillan makes a lot of sense. Since then, Jackson Dart. Yeah, I mean, I just think that they definitely need to improve, man. I mean, I'm willing to give some of these other guys a chance, like, Bud Memes. I just feel like, a lot of these things that are happening with the team, I feel like it has a lot to do with player development. Hopefully, Kellen Moore has solved that problem by bringing in some coaches that are really good teachers, really good motivators, and help guys to see the field and help them see something in themselves to make them better. I was listening to a Terry Joseph interview, and I can tell you, man, I mean, I can understand why the Saints brought him in. I mean, I only seen him talk for like 2 to 3 minutes, and I was inspired. He just comes off as a guy that wants to help. He comes off as a guy that is a leader, and I can see him being a head coach somewhere, rather it be back in the college ranks or on a professional level. But he definitely understands the game. He understands what it takes. I mean, his track record speaks for itself. So when you have guys like that you add to the room, I think that as far as with the secondary, I think that they'll improve. And if some of these other coaches come in with their position group, if everything that we're seeing, it pretty much lines up and tells us that they're really good teachers too. We should see some improvement from guys that maybe we weren't very high on going into this season, right? We're not high on maybe we gave up, washed our hands with. So hopefully these can be some stories like we hear, like we hear when it comes to Zach Bond or, Trey Hendrickson, like guys that ended up emerging to be top of their position group. So hopefully some of this talent on the Saints team have that ability. Maybe that's the reason why Mick and Loomis still believes in it. I don't know. Like I said, only time would tell. When we hit the reset button in the offseason, I just give people the benefit of the doubt. You try to do everything that you possibly can to try to put a formidable team on the field. I mean, I still got question marks when it comes to some of these players. I feel like what you see is what you're going to get. But some of these younger players, I do feel like they got the short end of the stick, rather it be lack of playing time, rather it be the way that they fall in on the team's pecking order. But I just think that the best guys that go out there and play, that have the potential to be something special, I feel like they need to play. And it shouldn't have anything to do with how much money that you're making, when you was drafted, where you was drafted. Like, it shouldn't matter. Like, what matters is who is putting forth the best effort, who is giving you what you actually need, who has that potential to be the absolute best at that position, and who has the ability to grow. I don't want it to be like one of those situations where a player leaves and he finds success and we're asking a question like, how did you let this guy go? So hopefully the Saints can nip this in the bud and they develop their players and they can be able to keep them, because that's what teams are supposed to do. I mean, we see it with Cincinnati right now with paying both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Those two guys they drafted and they paid them. And, you can talk about the money and, how much they're getting and how crazy it is. But the fact that these two players are making that type of money is a testament to their drafting ability, their developmental process, and also, just their front office being able to get things done. So I will hope that the New Orleans Saints can follow suit, develop players, and find a way to pay them. Let's see. Brandon says, I'll take McMillan, 6'5", 212, which would be a mismatch. Yeah, I mean, 6'5", 212. I said, big, big body wide receiver, more than likely going to demand a double team. So, yeah, you definitely need somebody like that. Let me stop right here, man, because I do have to acknowledge a couple things that have taken place as far as transactions from New Orleans Saints. And I apologize, man. Some of this stuff, like you probably talked about or heard other podcasters, Saints, reporters talk about. But like I said, I mean, I've been out of pocket for the last couple of days, so I'm going to address all that. Michael, thank you very much for the $199. Says T-Mac would be a great pick. Yeah, I agree, Mike. And thank you very much for the $199. But the Saints did sign two players. They signed Vallis Jones. Vallis Jones Jr., he is 27 years old, from Mobile, Alabama. He went to the University of Tennessee as well as USC. He was a third-round pick back in 2022. Has been a little bit of a journeyman, man. I mean, when he played for Chicago, starting in 2022, where he was drafted. Then he went to Jacksonville, Carolina, and now he's with the New Orleans Saints. He is a wide receiver and more of a return specialist, but the Saints have him as a running back. He did run the ball a few times, out of the backfield, but I don't know if this is just a guy that they're just trying to add for depth or what, but regardless, he's a talented guy, man. I mean, he was a very, very good collegiate player. That's the reason why he was drafted in the third round. He has some really good speed. He's 6'3", 201, so he is a tall guy. And I think that based on the Saints wide receiver room, he will get an opportunity. I mean, none of these guys' jobs are set in stone, for the exception of Olave and Shaheed. So if Vallis Jones can come up in here and make some noise, he can see some playing time. So that was a good signing, in my opinion. Somebody that you can, add to the team, be a camp body, go out there. If he does a really good job, you can sign him. He can be a part of the rotation. So there's that. And then Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams is a defensive end. He came into the league back in 2016. He came into the league in 2020 as an undrafted rookie out of Weber State. He's been around the league a few times. He's been with the Rams, the Minnesota Vikings, back with the Rams, back with the Minnesota Vikings, back with the Rams. in Detroit, and then now with the New Orleans Saints. So he was playing a little bit of a hot potato between the Rams and the Vikings. This is more of a depth guy. Brandon Staley bringing a guy in that he knows and, he recognizes, add a little bit more depth to them actually changing around his defense. So bringing in some familiar guys that are kind of up to date, as far as their understanding when it comes to what Brandon Staley wants is helpful. I still feel like maybe the Saints are going to be going into this draft trying to add some more guys that can fit that 3-4 defense that they're going to be running this season. But, both of these guys, to me, Vallis Jones and Jonah Williams, are more of just some roster bodies and, want to see if those guys can go in here and make a name for themselves and maybe be a part of the final 53. They have a really good chance to do so. So those are the two transactions that has taken place. Of course, the whole Cooper Kupp situation, the Saints were in the number, no pun intended, but, he ended up going to Seattle. I believe that Seattle was a good spot for him, especially when you heard that he wanted to stay on the West Coast. And then on top of that, I mean, he plays for his home state, he's from Washington. He gets the opportunity to play in Seattle. And I just think that it's just a match made in heaven. He doesn't have to go too far. He's going to still be playing in NFC West. And, good luck to him. I wasn't very high on Cooper Kupp, coming to the Saints, to be honest with you. I just feel like Cooper Kupp is a very talented guy, but I just think that it's time for the New Orleans Saints to get back to selecting their guys, building their roster through the draft, building their roster with guys that may come in and get an opportunity, kind of similar to what Zach Bowen did. I mean, you had a very heavy linebacker room, so he became a little bit expendable. He goes to Philadelphia, and now this guy got paid. So maybe the New Orleans Saints can do something like that. Maybe a young wide receiver that nobody really is talking about. Like I said, like Vallis Jones, like opportunity. I don't know, give him opportunity to get some reps, and maybe he'll take advantage of those opportunities. And maybe another team like Chicago or something and be like, man, how do we let this guy go? So, I like Cooper Kupp once again, but I just think that it's time for the Saints to start building their guys that can create their legacies on the team. Like those well-respected guys that throughout the years made their name in a Saints uniform, like Lance Moore, like Devery Henderson, like Robert Meacham, like Marcus Colston, like guys like that, where, you counted on those guys on Sunday. Wasn't household names anywhere else, but they were so meaningful to Saints fans all over. So that's what I feel like the Saints need to go back to. I feel like that is going to be the recipe for success for the Saints. The lineup for this week is crazy. Yeah, it's a really good lineup, man. And I appreciate all of them for agreeing to that. It says Campbell, Genty, Walker, Johnson at 9. This wide receiver class too deep to reach for McMillan, who isn't even the best wide receiver in the class. Well, I don't want to say, man, he's good, man. He's good, and I agree with you to a certain extent. Like, this is a very deep wide receiver class, so if you lose out on McMillan, you're like, no harm, no foul. But to say that if you would acquire him, they wouldn't make your wide receiver room better. I don't, I feel like that's a little bit, of a stretch. Like, oh man, we don't need him. Yes, you do. But I do agree with what you're saying. Like, if there's no need for you to try to jump up to try to get him. Like, if he's available to you at 9, you can select him. But, there ain't no need for you to be making no phone calls to the Jets, trying to move up or whatever like that. No need. I agree with you on that. A lot of talent, a lot of things you can do with the 9th pick, right? I mean, I wouldn't even be a Jet. Like, let's just say, for example, let's just say if you were going to go after Ashton Genty with the 9th pick, or you were going to go after Will Campbell with the 9th pick, and then all of a sudden and try to get him or something, a team that needs a running back jumps up and get him because they heard reports that you might grab him. I mean, I would trade down. Like, okay, somebody wants this 9th pick. Okay, you can add you can add more draft picks. So there's so many ways the Saints can use that number 9 pick, but no need to reach. I agree with you on that. Dart will go late first round, early second round. I think he'll go early second round. I feel like if he is the 9th pick in a draft by the Saints, that's a reach. That's a reach. TJ, I know it's short notice, but are you going to be in Atlanta on Saturday? I have a company game night to reveal my newest game. That's Cap. Keen Arthur, I won't be in Atlanta this Saturday. Of course, like my son Pat. Him being there, playing soccer for the next couple of weeks. So won't be able to be in Atlanta, but man, I wish you good luck with your game night. Definitely know that you're gonna knock it out of the park. But I am planning on coming to Atlanta pretty soon, man. I got my cousin down there, man. I gotta visit him. So I plan on coming down there pretty soon. So I'm gonna have to hit you up and when I'm in town. So maybe we can, go hang out or something like that. Says give away your draft picks hurt you in the long run. Not necessarily. If you move back, then more than likely you gain a draft pick, right? Because if a team moves up, you're gonna get their first round pick, and then I'm pretty sure they probably negotiated for something else, rather it's a player, rather it's another draft pick. So to me, I feel like that would actually be a win. Especially if it's not too far. Like, let's just say, I don't know, man. Like I said, what if it's the Bears or something like that? If the Bears try to make a deal with the Saints or something, like they need a running back. They got DeAndre Swift out there, but if they want to go after Ashton, what Ben Johnson can do with some running backs. So Ashton Genty coming to Chicago. Let's just say Chicago calls the Saints. They're at 10, the Saints at 9. They heard the Saints are going to draft Ashton Genty. They make a deal. Saints go to 10. Genty goes to Chicago with 9. Saints get the 10 pick and negotiate something with Chicago. So, it depends. Like, if we talking about, okay, you fall all the way back to 25 or something like that, then, you'll lose out on some really talented players. But if it's like a switch from 10 to 9 or 11 to 9, I don't think it will be that big of a deal. There's a lot of talented guys in the draft. If we draft Dart, he won't be able to beat Rattler for the job. I don't know. Maybe not. I would hope not. Rattler, he played in 6 games, have a full off season, understands the speed of the game. So I expect much more out of Spencer Rattler in year 2 than I did in year 1. Like now, you kind of understand how the NFL works. Like you done had some live fire shot at you. You know what I'm saying? Like you should be able to go out here and be able to rock and roll. So I believe in them, man. But this is a competition, man. You can't just give somebody the keys to the car. They got to earn it. EJ Manuel had injury issues. Bills gave up on him too early. I don't believe he fit that system. Yeah, but he had no business being drafted to where he was, Dalton. He just didn't. It was a bad. I agree with what you're saying. Those aren't the Bills that we're talking about right now that he was playing for. It was not. But I don't think that he was a first round draft pick. That's just me personally. One mock draft has Dart going to the Giants in the second round. That would be a good spot for him. That'd be a good spot. 2013 quarterback draft class sucked. 2013? Yeah, I got to go back to see who actually was in that class. Have we heard anything on Olave's concussions? I wonder if they are cautious with him in the offense. Well, I believe that this gonna sound insensitive, but I don't think teams look at it that way. It's like, let's just call some softer plays for Chris Olave. Nah, man. that's a tough sport that those guys play, man. I mean, it ain't ballet, as they say, right? It's a physical sport, man, and a guy like Chris Olave who has dealt with on a collegiate level too, that has to be an area of concern. But he feels like he can continue to play. It's just one of those situations where you got to be careful, man. But my thing is, like, how can you be careful? Like, I feel like if you go out there and you think about it, then you might end up like getting yourself hurt, right? I mean, when I watched Chris Olave like come back after like his concussion, you can tell the way that he was playing, like it was in the back of his mind. You know, I know he tried to come out there and he, tried to play, but yeah, you can tell like it was a difference. Like, like it just is. Like when you suffer a significant injury, like there's that thought in the back of your mind, like, one, this can possibly happen again. Two, like you get nerves and get scared or something like that. Like I always say, like this is gonna sound crazy, but I think when I played football, I was scared. I was nervous. And I think what helped me was this is gonna sound crazy, but this is a true story. I was I went on a field trip. I was like maybe I was like in 8th grade. And we were out there just playing like a little pickup game of football. It was in St. Bernard Parish, man. We went to like this little plantation place or whatever like that. So we were out there just playing football, and I ended up like running a route, and I ended up like turning out, and I went smack dab into a flagpole. Don't ask me how I know that flagpole was there, but like I'm talking about, man, I went smack dab into that flagpole, like full speed, like you just take off, bam, right into the flagpole. I'm talking about all I heard was dong, and everybody like, ooh, that's all I heard, like dong, and then people saying, ooh, and you know what I'm saying? My eyes were closed. I opened my eyes, and one of my homeboys like, man, you all right? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm thinking about, I'm like, if I just went smack dab into a flagpole, and I don't think, man, the way that I smashed into that flagpole, I don't think somebody will ever hit me that hard. I'm like, I think I'm gonna be okay. But sometimes, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you go through like some type of like traumatic experience when it involves football, like it could do two things. It could be like, man, it can make you turn up, or it can make you kind of second guess like certain things. But I mean, for him, like you go from getting hit, and I was actually at the game. I was at the game where he played his last snap of the season. Like I was at that game. Like when he played with the, in that game versus Carolina, man, that was scary. Like that literally was scary. Like the way he got hit and like how he just went down, like he wasn't moving, man. Like that was like scary. Like, all right, my goodness. So I can only imagine, man, going back and watching that and seeing, you go completely limp like that, man, that's a traumatic experience. So it's really up to him. Like, only Chris Olave knows what he has inside of himself. Like he knows. Like, but I can tell you this. You're gonna do two things. Rather, you're gonna continue to second guess yourself, or you're gonna try to put it out your mind. But I think that he has a few months to be able to get himself right. And also, man, you got to be able to do the necessary things in order for you to take care of yourself. But you also got to be real with yourself too, man, because your life is going to last way more than you play football. And, we don't want anything to happen to Chris Olave, that can cause him some type of hardship in the future. Strolling down a little bit, says, if the Saints draft a quarterback dart at 9, I'll be ticked off. I wouldn't turn off the draft completely and watch something else. So you say you would turn off the draft completely and watch something. Look, I don't think it's necessary for that, Larry. I mean, we've already talked about, oh, man, what's up, Chosen, man? I ain't seen Chosen in a minute, man. Glad you're here, buddy. But, yeah, Larry, I don't think that is one of those situations, because we all know that we've had these conversations about whatever the Saints do outside of them drafting a kicker or a punter in the first round, like we should be okay with. Like this team has so many different needs, and everything that they do is for the betterment of the future of this team. So I wouldn't be upset. If it ain't Shadur Sanders or Cam Ward, I wonder, like, why would you reach like that? But especially for a guy, like if you already got Derek Carr, he's going to be a starter. You have to believe that Spencer Rattler is going to be the backup. I don't know. Jake Hayner might end up being an odd man out. So what, second, third string quarterback maybe? And to me, I just feel like if you're drafting him, I'm wondering, like, what's going to happen with Spencer Rattler? Like, are you going to keep him around? And we already know the situation with Derek Carr. I just feel like, he's with the Saints, but I kind of feel like it's on borrowed time. We all know that contract situation wasn't what Derek Carr wanted to do, is what the Saints felt like was best for them when it comes to the salary cap. So still got that hanging over the New Orleans Saints. Golden, Betch, and Trey Harris, Van McMillan. I don't know about that, man. No, about that. I don't know about that. I mean, Golden, yeah. Trey Harris, that's the argument. But McMillan, that guy's good, man. That guy is talented. Like I know we like look at certain guys and we're like, man, this dude is better than, like, he deserves to be at the top. Like, this guy is talented. He's went up against some of the best, players in the country. He transitioned, changed conferences, and his numbers didn't dip. So I got nothing but respect for him. I think that if he does get picked in the top 10, he's going to be a number one receiver. And I think that, he'll be flirting with offensive player of the year. Like, as long as he goes to a team that has a decent quarterback that can give him the football, I think that, he'll end up be flirting with offensive player rookie of the year. So, I'm not going to say that he doesn't deserve to be at the top. Those other guys, they're talented, but they don't possess the skill set, the athleticism, the vertical leap. And plus, like I said, this guy's 6'5". I mean, that's going to win every time. A 6'5" guy running a 4.4, that's going to win every time. Those other guys, they 5'11", 6 feet, 180, 190 pounds. And I just, six three, 212, 213. I think that he would be a good fit for the Saints, but he can be a second round guy. He's probably like a late first round, early second round guy. James Jones says, TJ, what would you think our record will be and you see us winning the South? James, honestly, I don't know what the Saints record would be. I do think that as long as the team stay healthy, I think they can win at least 7 games. I mean, I think that's probably the cap for me, 7 games. I feel like there are some things that the Saints have to indeed work on. Could they win more than 7 games? Yes, but am I willing to jump out the window right now and say, yeah, they're going to definitely win over 7 games? No, I do not. I do not. I still feel like they got some work to do, and, we'll see. What's up, TJ and family? Who that the Saints want to move up so Carolina won't get T-Mac? Yeah, but I don't know if they will get him or not. I don't know if they're gonna, grab him or not. They might end up getting another wide receiver or something like that. Might get Will Johnson, or some other guy. So, and plus, like I said, man, it's murderer's row. Like before the Saints even pick. Like I said, the Patriots, the Raiders. Those are 2 teams to me that more than likely will pick McMillan. Like the Raiders don't have a number 1 receiver at all. So I definitely can see them picking McMillan. I can see that. I can see, and like I said, I can see the New England Patriots getting a number 1 wide receiver for Drake May. So those are the 2 teams. So I'm not really too concerned about Carolina like that. But I will say that I feel like, there's a chance they can get them, but I would think they will probably go after a wide receiver or something. If Mason Graham, Will Campbell, Dart, and Michael Williams dropped to 9. Who would you get, TJ? Mason Graham. Not a doubt in my mind, Eric. Like Mason Graham he's a force, man. And I feel like, especially if you're trying to run a 3-4, he definitely can be that anchor for you. Like, you don't think twice. Like, if this is highly unlikely, but if Mason Graham is there for you at number 9, I don't care if Ashton Genty available. I don't care if Tetairoa McMillan. I don't care. Like, you get Mason Graham. To me, that guy is special. Like, I went back and I watched this dude tape, and I watched losses. Like, I don't just sit up there and just watch like, oh, Mason Graham highlights. Like highlights it's designed to get you excited. I'm talking about when they were playing against Texas. I'm talking about when they were losing some of them football games last season. Like, this guy never gave up on a play. I ain't never seen him phone it in. None of that. Like, they were down by a couple of touchdowns, but you couldn't tell him that. And when you see a guy playing like that, when you see a guy moving like that, when you still see a guy putting that type of effort, like that's the type of player you want on your football team. That's who you want on your football team. You want somebody that motor keep running. And, I just think that he's a special player. TJ, remember your reaction when the Saints took Cesar Ruiz over Love? Do you think they'll draft a crazy out of way pick over T-Mac if he's available? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be that way this time, because here's the thing. King Arthur, when we were like doing these shows back in the day, it was kind of simplistic. We kind of knew what the Saints needed, right? Like, we knew the Saints needed a cornerback. The Saints need a wide receiver, like linebacker. Like, we kind of knew going into the draft what the Saints needed. I knew it. You knew it. The entire Who Dat Nation knew it, right? But when they draft something like just completely out of the way, like it's so way out there to a point where it's like, man, what in the world, right? Like that kind of got you there. But like I said, if they draft, a kicker, a punter, or something like that, then all hell breaking loose, right? But any position that they draft, to me, I feel like it makes sense, because you got so many issues and glaring holes on this football team. So I don't think you'll get that type of response this time around. It was just the Cesar Ruiz thing. I'm like, and you knew that Drew Brees was about to retire. Like, you knew that more than likely he was considering that, and you didn't do anything about it. That's what I feel like that's something that Mickey Loomis has got to stop doing. Like, you can't wait till somebody just completely walks off into the sunset, or you completely exhaust you exhaust everything that you possibly have at that particular position in order for you to replace it. Like, I just feel like good teams, they understand, man, this linebacker, he going into year 8, year 9, he's still playing at a high level, but guess what? I mean, he got more football behind him than ahead of him. We need to go ahead and draft this guy. The Saints, they will completely exhaust the player out. They will completely exhaust them out, and wait for that player to basically ride off into the sunset for them to replace him. And I get it, man. When that player is good to you and good to the community, you want to let that player know that you support them. But at the same time, you need to understand the business aspect of the game as well. And I think that sometimes the Saints, they need to understand that, man, maybe you need to start drafting at this position, not for the simple fact of, oh, this player is getting old and this guy is going to take his place, but injuries happen, right? And then injuries happen, then somebody else can come in. I mean, it might be a drop-off, but not something so significant. And I just think that the Saints pretty much shot themselves in the foot, because there was such a huge drop-off from the best player at that position to the next guy up, because the next man up mentality, to me, it exists, but it didn't exist in New Orleans. And it had a lot to do with the fact that a lot of guys had to be thrust into the lineup when they weren't ready. Like, I think Anthony Orji can be a very talented linebacker, but I don't think that he was ready to go to Arrowhead and go up against Mahomes and that offense at that time. Sometimes those guys need reps. They can be rotational guys, but if you go from like running down the field on special team, all of a sudden like you're in a starting lineup against the Kansas City Chiefs, that's a tough ask to ask this man to go out there and play like he Luke Kuechly or Lawrence Taylor on short notice like that. What do you think about your boy Savon Reveal? Son, real nice. I have to really take a look at him. I gotta kind of do my homework on that on him. I mean, before I give you like a definite. Because I don't want to shortchange the guy, and I don't want to shortchange you by just giving you just some, vanilla type response. So I'll take a look. I'll take a look at him. There's a lot of people that some of you like suggest for me to look at, and I'll take a look, and I'm like, okay, they got something there. Let's see. What Rattler showed last season was a lot more than all games he lost. Leadership, something we haven't seen since Breeze. Yeah, I mean, there are some things that he has to work on, man. I mean, but I think it's a combination of we're wanting this guy to succeed and, actually seeing it happen. Like, we also giving him the benefit of the doubt. In some cases, we probably wouldn't give to quarterbacks. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. Like, we want Spencer Rattler to work out. If you don't feel that way, I'll leave you out. I want him to work out because I think there's a lot of talent there. I think there's a lot of ability there. And then also, I feel like this could be the way that you fix your football team. A fifth round, 150th pick in the draft ends up being your starting quarterback. Man, you can build a team around that. You can fix your issues around that. Bringing in guys that are veterans that are going to be demanding north of $100 million just to be the quarterback. Man, when you're dealing with cap issues like that, I feel like having a young quarterback that doesn't cost that much, that can help. So, yeah, but I mean, I expect for him to be much better than he was his rookie year. I think that experience that he had is going to help him. At least it should. If he's doing all the right things, which from what I hear and what I see, it seems like he is. What do you think about picking up Keenan Allen? Look, I think that ship has indeed sailed. Shouts out to Keenan, but I just think that he's a talented guy, legend, very underrated. In my opinion, one of the most underrated wide receivers of all time. Could make sense because Brandon Staley is with the Saints, but look, man, I'm kind of over some of these older players, man. Like we got to make sure that we're having the right conversation and we're not just talking to hear ourselves talk. And what I mean by that is we can't on one hand say, the Saints need to get younger. And then if a 30-something-year-old wide receiver, a 30-something-year-old linebacker, and I'm not saying you, Mad Drum, I'm just using this as an example. They are a free agent. All of a sudden, we want them. Like, can't have it both ways here, man. Like, because if Keenan Allen comes in and he's not Keenan Allen, who was with the San Diego / Los Angeles Chargers, now all of a sudden we talking about how bad this decision was. And that's not his fault because this man's played a lot of football. So in my humble opinion, I just think that they need to get younger. There's nothing wrong with Keenan Allen. If Keenan Allen goes to another team, I hope that he goes out there and knock it out of the park. The Saints need their guys that they can grow in their system and develop. This is what is going to help the Saints salary cap issues. If you're tired of hearing about the cap, they over the cap. We ain't never got nobody. We can't never sign nobody. If you are tired of having these type of conversations or even tired of saying that sentence, then you would want the New Orleans Saints to select their own guys. There's nothing wrong with getting a veteran here like a Devon Gottschall or, some of these other guys that have been in the league for quite some time like a Justin Reed. There's nothing wrong with that to go alongside some of the guys that you bring into the system. Nothing wrong with that. But it shouldn't be your team shouldn't be dominated by 30-somethings or guys that just you recognize their name. You recognize their game so you feel comfortable. Like what did Darren Rizzi say? Sometimes you got to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. Sometimes you may not recognize the guy that comes in that can be able to help your franchise become better. Like nobody expected a 6'4", 220-pound tight end who came out of Hofstra to be one of the greatest wide receivers in the Saints uniform. Nobody thought Marcus Colston would be that, right? But the Saints signed him, and now he's one of the most well-respected, most renowned Saints wide receivers of all time, right? One of them at least. So you got to give people a chance. I know, like, the unknown scares us. Like, sometimes we size people up and maybe they don't look the part, right? But when they go out there, they win you over. So the Saints might draft a wide receiver that you probably not really familiar with their game like that. Like, they may not have the cachet. They may not have they may not have the namesake, right? The cachet as some of these other wide receivers coming in the draft. But that guy might come in and make some serious noise. Like, think about this, man. Think about how many wide receivers were drafted before Michael Thomas, right? But Michael Thomas, in a short period of time, became one of the best wide receivers in Saints history. And if an injury didn't cut his career short, probably still would have been doing it at a high level to this day, So I say give these guys a chance. I'm not looking, like, this sounds crazy, but I'm not looking for Amari Cooper. If he signs with the Saints, that'll be great. I'm not looking for Keenan Allen. Great player. But the Saints need to create their own legacy by selecting their own players. And Saints fans just need to have the patience and understanding that you may not recognize this guy, or this guy may not, he has to prove it to you. But I'm willing to give them a chance. I mean, I got to say this. I feel like that's the reason why a lot of us miss out on certain things in life, opportunities, because we look at how things are perceived, right? Like, we sometimes, like, oh man, I don't know about this. I'm not sure about this. Would y'all say, how long y'all been in existence? How many people you said following y'all? How many times this got viewed? Like, people start to, like, look at that and they size it up and they cheat themselves out of an opportunity. Like, you can't always get ready, always be looking for a finished product. Like, some of us right now have the skills and ability to do some really great things, and all we need is a chance, right? But let's just say, for example, I don't know, man, a really popular plumbing company that is in the New Orleans area, the Gulf Coast area, and let's just say, for example, you went to school and you're a damn good plumber, right? But you don't have the cachet, you don't have the commercials and all that kind of stuff, but you can fix a person's pipes or whatever going on with their home like anybody else, right? Better than anybody else. But if you just come through with a card or a flyer inside of a mailbox or something like that, then people might, I don't know about him. It's the rapper who can spit, who's selling his CDs at the gas station. Probably could be the next Jay-Z, but nobody's going to give him that attention, that chance, because look where he at. So sometimes, man, we got to just give people opportunities, man, to make names for themselves. Give them opportunities in order for them to win us over. That's with anything. Like I said, I just think sometimes in life, like we look for the Vegas lights, right? Oh, look at this person. Oh man, we don't need to listen to him. Look how many people following him. Look how many people viewing him. Oh man, look at him, man. Like, oh man, what kind of business card is this? It's like he made this himself. Like, start somewhere. Got to start somewhere, right? So give these wide receivers, give these linebackers an opportunity, man. Like, they may fall flat on their face, but I'm willing to give them a chance if that means that these guys could possibly be cornerstone players for the Saints. TJ, I was reading an article. Javarius Ward was about to sign with us, but Indy swooped in at the last minute. Elite cornerback is definitely on the radar. Yeah, I mean, Javarius Ward is talented, always has been talented. Would have been a really good pickup out of New Orleans Saints, but I'm pretty sure nobody's upset that Justin Reed ended up being a guy that the Saints selected. Two-time Super Bowl champion, has been a starter since he stepped foot in the league. Very smart, intelligent guy. You lose one Stanford guy and you gain one, right? You lose a Stanford guy, Paulson the D-boy, and you gain one in Justin Reed. So I guess that's a plus. But I don't think anybody's losing any sleep. But Javarius Ward, talented guy, Indy, man. They got themselves a dog, and that's something that they need in their secondary, because the defense was a little bit hit and miss last season. I agree, but I think we need the veteran presence that can rack up yards like what MVS did last season. Yeah, I mean, Matt Drummer, that's true, but who's to say that wide receiver won't do that? You get what I'm saying? Like, who's to say that? Who's to say that wouldn't happen with another young guy? Yeah, like I get it. Like I said, it's the comfortability aspect of it, right? Keenan Allen, like, you know who Keenan Allen is. You know what he's capable of. But like I said, who was the veteran presence on the football team when Michael Thomas got here? Like, I'm just wondering, like, who did they have? Like, who was you looking at to make plays? Brandon Cooks? Brandon Cooks came out, what, a year before Michael Thomas did? Young, inexperienced wide receivers. You had one guy who can stretch the field, take the top off the defense, and Cooks. And then you had like a possession guy, Michael Thomas. Like, and they got it done. Oh, now, be that as it may, you had Drew Brees as your quarterback. But at the end of the day, he had to throw it to somebody. They had to make some plays. They had to make you believe in them, right? So who's to say that wide receiver that they select won't do the same thing? Like I said, it's about comfortability, Drummer. It's about that. Like, I get it. But sometimes, like, you got to step outside of the comfort zone. Sometimes you got to go with the young guys, the young dogs. I mean, look across the board. Look at the Detroit Lions. Like, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, homegrown guy. Jameson Williams, homegrown guy. Sam Laporta, homegrown guy. These guys got together collectively, and yeah, you got your Josh Reynolds and your Tim Patricks and stuff, but them dudes ain't eating like that. A target or two per game. You know, like these guys get set up in a system, and they get drafted. The coaches have a plan for them, and they execute. I'm okay. Like, I'm okay with it, because the reality is, who expects for the New Orleans Saints to be a dominant football team in 2025? No disrespect to the players, but it's just the truth. Who expects for them to be this way? We even having this conversation right now because Mickey Loomis is structuring the team as if he feels like injuries played a role. If he didn't structure this team the way that it did, will we be having a conversation about bringing in Keenan Allen? We'll probably be talking about fully hitting the reset button. But Mickey Loomis told us what time of day it was. But to me, you can tell me what time it is, but I think that I think maybe you on daylight saving time, or maybe you ain't adjust to it. I still feel like the New Orleans Saints need to get younger, especially at the wide receiver position. You have to. And then on top of that, you don't know, about this whole Chris Olave situation. You don't know. You don't know. Like, I believe in him. I think that, he will have a stellar career, but man, when you start dealing with them concussions, man, that's something serious. So to me, man, like, you're going to have to find yourself finding another young wide receiver, or you're going to keep on digging into your pockets, trying to find another wide receiver, just like how you trying to find a quarterback year after year. So to me, I'm trying. I don't want to say I'm trying, because I ain't part of it, but I want this team to get younger at the wide receiver position. Come on now, TJ. Hell no. You already know how the front office is not going to pay the right people who they should pay. Well, see, that's the thing, Greg. That may be the case, but at the same time, I'm only telling you what my aspirations are, what I would hope that they would do if you put yourself in that position by drafting the right players, developing those players with good coaches, getting those players where they need to be. That's what's going to get you out of this cap situation. This is what's going to stop us from having these conversations and talking about how the Saints going to get under the cap, and forcing you in some cases to be able to keep players around that you wouldn't necessarily keep around if the situation was a little bit different. I mean, what actually happens versus how we actually feel are two different things. Of course, what we all want is for the New Orleans Saints to get this cap situation under control. You get under control by bringing in good players where you can develop these players, and you don't have to keep on going out here on the street trying to find players that fill that void. Thank you, TJ, for always bringing good positivity. You'll make someone change their ways for real, for real. Well, look, man, I mean, it's the truth. I mean, I just think that we need to give people opportunities and chance. I just think that some of us, we end up throwing away the gift because maybe the wrapping paper isn't, wrapped like you got it at Dillard's or something like that. Like sometimes, man, great things, great people, great inventors, great entrepreneurs, just great podcasts, great authors, great bakers, great, like great mechanics, like it don't come with a bunch of pomp and circumstance, right? And I mean, sometimes, some people don't have those type of resources. Like I just think that when we be looking for, everything that's just aesthetically pleasing, sometimes we miss the mark. And I mean, I learned that firsthand. I experience it all the time. Like I ain't trying to get on my soapbox, but it's reality. Like a lot of people, they size me up about certain things that, that they expect from me, right? They expect from me just to be some lowly guy, when I say stuff just out here just trying to clout chase or just trying to get my name out there. I don't feel that way. And if you rock with me for a while, I don't feel that way. I mean, you should, I don't do that, but and some people do because, they'll look at how many people follow you. They'll see how many views you get per show and all that kind of stuff. And because you ain't getting 10 or 11,000 people watching it at one time, like, you lose out on things like that. Like that's why I feel like it's very important. If you don't learn nothing, get nothing from what we're talking about today, I say give people opportunity. Don't allow anybody to be like, oh man, I heard. Like, nah, man. I mean, I can't tell you how many times somebody has told me I heard, and if I would have followed through on what they heard, I would have missed out on some great opportunities. I would have missed out on hiring some great people, establishing some really good relationships, friendships, etc. So can't always go by what you actually see. Sometimes you got to do your own investigating. That's in life, folks. That's in life. Let me take a few more, then we're going to go ahead and get up out of here. It says TJ Siobhan Ravel, that's somebody mentioned is nice. Yeah, I'm going to have to check them out, man. I'm going to have to really check them out. I mean, I've been, like I said, I've really been studying like certain players that I feel like the New Orleans Saints would probably be going after. And that's been taking up my attention as of late. But I'll make sure that I check them out. I'll put them on the list. No doubt about that. It says maybe we can find our next Trey Hendrickson in the draft. Yeah, maybe you can. Deep draft at defensive end, defensive lineman. Follow your own mind. People will tell you stuff just to throw you off track. Yeah, I mean, man, sometimes you got to do your own investigating. Like you got to do your own investigating, man. Seriously. You just got to do it. Like sometimes, you might investigate. It might be exactly what people said that it was. But at the end of the day, at least you found that out for yourself. Like don't allow people to like, sway you or make you feel a certain type of way. Give people opportunities. People work hard, man. I mean, it don't seem like it, but a lot of these, man, it's not easy to do some of the things that people do. Like if you're learning a trade, you go to school, develop that type of information, that certain skill set, and try to exercise it. And like I said, you may not be in the right position, but somebody give you a chance, I guarantee you, they won't be sorry. They won't be disappointed. We've been filling holes with free agency, but what we do in the draft? Well, I mean, you didn't fill everything, right? I mean, you probably feel, Aaron, you probably feel some starting positions, but it goes back to what I was saying. I mean, we know that we've seen a lot of injuries last season, and it was such a huge drop off from the top guy, Aaron, to the next guy up. So maybe we can, look at the New Orleans Saints in the draft and they focus on, getting guys that they can develop in your system. And when their opportunity presents itself, they hit it out of the park. It just seemed like, it was just such a huge drop off, man. It was just such a huge drop off. Let's see. TJ with the 9th pick the Saints have. How many would you use for both sides of the ball? I mean, I would try to balance it out. I think that you have to put emphasis on defense because you're changing it, but I think that you definitely need some offensive players as well. But I think that you need to have a balance. But I wouldn't be upset if they pick more defensive players than offensive. And I'll go ahead and end it with this because this is kind of significant. It might sound crazy, but how you feel about the Cena heel turn? Look, man, I'm a big wrestling fan. Look, I I didn't necessarily feel like the promo was as great as people making it out to be when he spoke about being disgruntled and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, man. I just think that people were looking for something a little bit different, and maybe that was a heel move for him to keep things the way that it was, but it's a little boring to me, man. It was a little boring to me. So hopefully they kind of rev it up a little bit more. Maybe they'll get into like a little bit of a confrontation, him and Cody, to make this thing more exciting. But I don't know, man. It's just weird looking at him just out there with those clothes on, and now you want people to boo him. This seemed like to me like they want him to be a bad guy, but they don't want to lose those T-shirt sales because he's still gonna sell a lot of T-shirts. Which, if he was to become a bad guy and change it up, he still would sell a lot of T-shirts. So, TJ, I'm still upset. Let's go after A.T. Perry. He had potential 6'5", 205 more, would have brung out the best in him. But it ain't about just bringing out the best. You got to want it too. And you got to be able to go out there and execute, man. And sometimes you got to do the little things when people aren't. You can't just expect for the coaches to motivate you. You got to go out there and make some plays. And, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't know what you're doing, man, and not grasping the concepts of the offense or the defense, like, you're not going to see much. There's so many talented guys that have come to the National Football League and just couldn't stay long because they weren't students of the game. They didn't focus on the little things. And, somebody had to motivate them in order for them to do what they do. And so if he can get that on track, man, yeah, I definitely feel like the sky's the limit. I mean, he made plays every time he was out there, but I mean, you can't just be out there playing park ball, man. I mean, there's got to be some type of rhyme or reason out there. It can't be like, okay, man, I just need you to run a 9. Just run past them. I'm going to put the ball up there 50-50, like, come on, man. You got to know why you're doing things. You got to know how to block, got to know what route to run, all that stuff. So, yeah, he's talented, man, but you gotta want it. But thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I really do appreciate it. Much love to you. Shouts out to everybody that took part, that were in the comments. Thank you all so much for choosing the State of the Saints podcast. And like I said, this week we got some guests, man, coming up on Wednesday. We got Mike Tetairoa will be with us, as well as Trace, and he will be on the show as well. That will be the evening show. So I'm gonna be doing 3 shows on Wednesday. I got the interview with Mike Tetairoa, then I got Saints Talk on Bleacher Report, and then we're gonna be talking to Trace. And then on Thursday we'll have Big Q on the show. And next week I got my good buddy who covers the Dallas Cowboys, Aisha Morrison. She'll be on the show. Girls Talk, Cowboys Girl Talk, that she has a podcast along with other female journalists that cover the Dallas Cowboys. Looking forward to speaking to her about Kellen Moore, as well as other things that's going on in NFC East for what she sees. They'll be on the Gumbo Pot as well as here on the State of the Saints. So make sure you check that out and subscribe to the Gumbo Pot Sports Podcast. Much love to everybody. Shouts out to you. Enjoy the rest of your day. And until next time, all I got to say is,
thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast. Please subscribe to our channel.
all I got to say is, who dat?